So first, we will go from the furthest from me is Shanghai, China. Jane, the CEO of IMAP.
Yeah, this is Zhongshen. Hi, very nice to meet everybody here. Zhongshen, the CEO of IMAP, and located in Shanghai. So I myself have been devoting my career to the clinical care of patients, and both in US and China. So I come, have after rotated in big pharmas, and now landed in IMAP 4 years ago. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you, Jane. So next we will go to California. We welcome the Sergey, Natasha, please.
Hi, actually I'm in Seattle.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. So Seattle is closer to China than California, right?
That it is. But I did come to Seattle by way of California, so you're accurate in that regard. Yes, hi, I'm Natasha Herndey. I'm the Executive Vice President of Corporate Development and Alliance Management for Seattle Genetics. I've been at the company about a decade now, helping to build and lead the corporate development effort. And proud to say that I helped bring in and get 2 drugs approved under my watch in my time there. Most recently, just this week, we had a new approval for cervical cancer. So that's an exciting time for us. And I'm delighted to join you all on the panel today and look forward to the discussion. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Natasha. And then let's go to California. I think California, Michael, right?
Yeah, it's Michael Fleming. Hi. I'm a little farther south, warmer weather. So yeah, my name's Mike Fleming, and I'm the Chief Strategy Officer of Coherus Biosciences. I lead our corporate strategy development, our pipeline build, and our product launch initiatives. And I've been at Coherus now for 7 years. Coherus is a Northern California-based company that's been around for 10 years. I came in just after Series B. I was the first commercial operative, set the pipeline strategy, and built out the commercial group to launch our first drug, Udenyca, which is a biosimilar of pegfilgrastim, Neulasta. And I'm delighted to be here. Our focus as a company is a combination of biosimilar interests as well as oncology interests. And we made a decision just 2 years ago to really fully pivot into the oncology space, the therapeutic oncology space, and direct our efforts there with the view that the revenue from our biosimilars could finance the pipeline development for oncology. So that's our story.
Thank you, Michael. I think the Srita, are you in Chicago?
That's right. Hi, everyone. My name is Sridhar Gopal. I look after ex-US transactions for AbbVie. It's a pleasure to be with all of you. And sorry, I tried to put the background screen which Echo sent, but it was not working. So I had an option of keeping my camera off or not having the background screen, so you can see a few of my things of my kids out in the background. So AbbVie is a $55 billion company. Thanks to the Allergan acquisition, which we closed last year, we have truly become a large business. For us, the biggest product is Humira, as many of you know, in immunology and many other immunology assets. Our second largest pillar is oncology. We did acquire Pharmacyclics now several years back. And after that, we've also launched our BCL2 Inclexta in the market. So AbbVie in China is close to a $700 million company, and we are looking at China as an attractive market to continue growing in that market, and at the same time access innovation. And AbbVie actually did 2 deals last year out of those 28 deals. We did a deal with Jacobio in June of last year for SHP2, and then of course with Johan's company on the IMAP collaboration, which we did. Happy to be a part of this panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Srita. Then next come to my home, and is in New Jersey, and Sean.
Thank you, Echo. Hi everyone. My name is Sean Zhang. I'm the CMO of InnoCare Pharma. For those who don't know, InnoCare Pharma, we are a biopharmaceutical company, biotech company established about 6 years ago. During this, you can say short or long 6 years, we achieved a lot. Company was listed in Hong Kong Stock Exchange about 1.5 years ago. And also we had our leading compound is the BTK inhibitor called orelabrutinib, have the China market approved for some of the liquid tumor malignancy indication. And so many of you also know the BTK inhibitor can also have the work in the autoimmune diseases area. So most recently, it's around 2 months ago, we have our license deal with Biogen. This is significant for us from multiple folds. First, this is now many of the company, the China pharmaceutical company, biotech, want to be a global company. So this is a great jumpstart step for a globalization. So also this is underline our internal innovative R&D capability. This is important, and also work with a leading pharmaceutical company in the neuroscience area with Biogen. That is also provide us a learn and to grow, to partner with the international leading player in this area. I'm looking forward to the discuss.
Thank you, Sean. And I think these transactions are not only because meaningful, it's because of the donor sign, right? It's also like meaningful, but also is because is the innovation from China. I think it's directly competed with all the global farmer. So I would like to invite Sean and John to share like what's the past, now, and the future of China innovation. And also I wanted to invite the rest of the panelists to also share their insights from the Western, the biopharma executives, so how they see the trend coming and going forward.
John, you want to start?
Oh, okay. So need to start. Yes, I think this trend is very exciting. And, you know, I've been in China for 10 years. At the beginning, I just thought, okay, I'll stay just a few years helping setting up a few things like for global clinical trials, that's it. And then, you know, the trend was always like China, the innovation drugs behind the global pharmas. So I think, you know, as I stayed longer from, I joined Pfizer and then Henry, and then, you know, J&J now, you know, have our own companies, IMAP. So you saw the trends, like we are fast followers, from fast followers to becoming the leading the innovations trends. So this is an exciting change. I think, you know, after 10 years here, you have seen the ecosystem changes and the needs for innovation drugs. I think that really lead the whole development and the whole changes. And also the ecosystem improvement, including the government supports and the environment, you know, becoming like more familiar with the global development. For example, the PI in the hospitals, many of them have been trained in the Western countries, and then they have more open mind and accepting the new concepts and new science. And then more importantly is the talents moving, like we call sea turtles, returned from the West, and especially from US to China to set up their own company. This really helps to set the cornerstones for making a turnaround for China innovations, and then becoming the leading trends for the innovation. So I can see these trends continue to grow as more success from small pharmas. And especially with Echo mentioned the transactions, you know, from the I would say Zai Lab leading the licensing compound to really leverage China's innovation to the other way around, China domestic farmers are really licensing out their innovations earlier on. And I've seen more big farmers in collaboration with the domestic farmers. For example, the IMAP really had set up our strategies to make this model work. And that's because we believe in the end, innovation is should have no borders. It's our quality and our science which will prevail. That's why we had been successfully licensing out CD47 to AbbVie. I think because it's a compatible science, compatible team, and compatible business needs, which bring us together. So again, long story short, I believe the trends are exciting and it will continue. Okay, thanks.
So very well said. I don't know, is there anything for me to add on? Thanks, June. But I want to say, so I totally agree with June. And now for the, if we look at the big picture, the China pharmaceutical industry went through from the start with the generic, and now they fast follow now into a exciting stage of the best in class, or some of the companies start with the first in class. Now, why can we do that, right? Why? So I think that is now, as Jung mentioned, the Thailand, the so many well-trained, the Thailand went back to China, and also the sufficient funding, and also the unmet medical needs in China. So that is all added, and that is a great opportunity. And now then today's discussion is about our license, why we need that, right? How, like for us, for InnoCare, why we need to do it. I think we believe if we want to continue grow, and we must have some uniqueness and to be innovative. So the globalization, that is must to do. We all understand now, especially the I would say the generic business in China, the national procurement. So not make those generic business is like the profit margin quite low. So this is the way we are doing. So why we need to do it is, and then how to do it. I think your compound must have some differentiation. For us, our orelabrutinib, our license, our multiple sclerosis indication with Biogen. So I think our differentiation point is very clear. This is already market approved compound. We have a superior safety profile compared with the current like a US approved compound. We have, even though it's not head-to-head comparison, but according to the literature, we have a much better safety profile. So then that if we apply for the autoimmune diseases, we all understand the requirement for the safety for the less AE, that the bar is much higher for the safety requirement. So this is one thing. And also our compound is really a CNS penetrate BTK inhibitor. We have the clinical data, we measure the CSF, the concentration of a compound is much higher than the competitor. So we can significantly differentiate from the other same class of the compound. This is why Biogen want to work with us. So I think what we learned, so in order to be have our license deal, you need to have a strong internal R&D capability. So then have a compound to be differentiated from the others. So this is I think this is critical in my view.
Thanks, Sean. Actually, I think this is a very good point. And then I want to ask her, Srida from Abbeville, how do you see or how do you compare the 47 to IMAP's 47? Because last year, Gilead acquired 47 with $4.9 billion. And then back to that time, actually I invited John come to the webinar and we discussed about that. Now I want to hear the other side, the story.
So, I mean, I will try to share what I can or what I'm allowed to. So what I can say is, firstly, congratulations to Johan and team that they've done a wonderful job in progressing this asset. And we clearly believe this has got all the potential. MZIP has got the potential to be the best in class for certain. And we were looking at the entire space for some time, like many of our other peers, and the prices were unimaginable, what companies were willing to pay, and at what price Gilead finally acquired, they acquired the company. We had our own internal analysis and diligence done on several assets, through science, understanding the science. And we were not convinced that the assets which were there in the US really at that stage were the ones which we should pursue. And, IMAP had, through various other channels, been in touch with AbbVie for the last few years. And that's what I would encourage the entrepreneurs who are there on this call, is continue meeting Big Pharma at various occasions, whether it is bio, whether it is a China-based forum, or it is JP Morgan and I. So there was already a contact, and we were also following IMAP for some time. And then we started discussing, and I know it was a tough time with COVID and everything, but we managed to do the due diligence, and then close the deal. And we are extremely happy with the collaboration. In fact, this morning, I did ask my team before this call, and they have only good things to talk about the collaboration. So yes, this does come as a collaboration that we will not have rights in one key market, which is China, but if we have to look at it from a global basis, we get a best-in-class asset, and hopefully this asset will be approved in the coming years and will be an important part of our portfolio. And for us, AbbVie, we are a small company in oncology. We acquired Pharmacyclics, and then we have our BCL2. So having assets like this was a very important part of our overall strategy. As you showed that from China, 52% of deals were done in oncology. AbbVie also is doing a fair amount of deals in oncology, and CD47 was one area we were looking at very keenly, and we were very happy that we were able to come to an agreement with Johan's company.
Thank you, Srida. Natasha, I think that you licensed in the ADCT from RemeGen last month. I assume you never visit them, you never meet them in person. So ADC actually have been a very crowded space in the past few years, and so many assets available in the markets. So how did you and your team decide and evaluate the RemeGen's ADC is a good fit for you and your team?
Yeah, it's a good question, Echo. Thank you. We actually had an occasion to meet several of the folks and learn about the data a couple of years ago, actually, before the deal. And as I think is quite typical in some of these deals, you get an idea, you ruminate on it for a while, you watch data evolve, and then the time becomes right for both parties to execute a deal. Much like Sridhar is describing, we did this whole deal remotely during the global pandemic, and we didn't ever sit with one another in person, but it was incredibly effective, I think, because both parties could work really any hours from their homes. And I thought it went very well and collaborative. We made sure to always use video conferencing so we could see one another and feel as if we're in a room collaborating. And I think that came through strongly throughout the whole process. And I think I'd like to echo something earlier that was said as well, which is with the influx of really well-trained people, the talent in China, the capital that's available in China, really good innovative medicines are being taken further in the clinic. And then there seems to be a good alignment with companies in the West and companies in China with respect to territory rights and strategic interest. So there's this moment in time, I think, that's really mutually beneficial to good Chinese companies with robust assets, with strong indication of single agent activity in oncology, which is where our interest lies solely. And those assets become ripe for global collaborations. And we were really excited because of the capabilities that RemeGen brings to the table in Asia, ex-Japan and Singapore, which we kept. But together we could collaborate globally, and evidenced by the quality and the robust data set that they were able to provide for us for disitamab vedotin. And so I think this is a really special time where the capital, the data, the quality coming out of China and the innovative medicine opportunities are really aligning with some of our interests as we look for opportunities to license. Some other parts of the world, people want to keep rights in particular regions and the interests just don't align. And those are kind of non-starters. But in this case, I felt like all of the interests aligned quite nicely.
Thank you. Thanks for your insight. Michael, I think there's actually a few years ago was a bigger concern, or bigger like a negative review about China, especially for the PD-1. And I say, oh, it's copycat. Everyone just do the PD-1. And it seems like last year have some the turning point is China's PD-1 seems to have somehow or some way superior than others or their ex-China. So Mike, could you please share your insight? I assume you must look at every PD-1 in China, and you must know inside and out.
Yeah, we did. I mean, look, we made a decision 2 years ago to make the pivot into oncology and certainly immuno-oncology. And as such, if you were going to do that, you had to have a PD-1. You could have a PD-L1, but we wanted a PD-1. And it made sense to us, both from the near-term opportunity to be a fast follower, or not even a fast follower, to be the 7th or 8th in the market. But we still felt that the market was so huge. I mean, so many $1 billion of opportunity that we could effectively compete, both in terms of efficacy, safety, as well as value. And we'd proven our capability to compete on value with the launch of UDENYCA, which was according to IQVIA, the best launch of 2019, the best branded launch of 2019. We went from having no revenue to securing, I think, over 45% of market share, lead market share in that pegfilgrastim market. So for us, it made a lot of sense, both strategically and in the near term, we felt we could compete. And in the long term, you had to have a PD-1 as a backbone for combinatorial approaches, because ultimately that's where the differentiation lies. And we were very, 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 very picky, because we said the forcing function for us was, if we're going to compete in the US market, we had to have a molecule that was as good or better than any other. And so we reviewed a number of different PD-1s, I won't say which, but we spent the better part of 2 years doing that, reviewing. And we were extremely pleased with the quality of the molecule that we got from Junshi, toripalimab, which I think many people know was featured at the ASCO plenary this just past ASCO for the NPC, the nasopharyngeal carcinoma indication. And the data is excellent. It has a breakthrough therapy designation from FDA. It's in the regulatory pipe. We expect a decision next year, and we expect to be commercialized next year. And then beyond NPC, which is an orphan indication and a first and only license indication for orphan with a potential first-line indication, we then go beyond that into large tumor opportunities, non-small cell lung, esophageal carcinoma, small cell lung, and others. And so Junshi brought a very, very broad pipeline of monotherapy opportunities. And in addition to that, we got options on a TIGIT and an engineered next generation IL-2. So which would, fit our combinatorial aspirations. So I think, in terms of near term and long term, Junshi and toripalimab made a lot of sense. It's an excellent molecule. You couldn't compete in the US market coming in 7th or 8th unless you had a pristine molecule. And that's what we were looking for. And that's why it took us a long time, because we were very, very choosy.
Thank you, Michael. I think from Srida, Natasha, and Michael's sharing, I heard the one word repeat again and again is data. The data is very good. So I would like invite Sean and John to share how China to improve the quality, because I think in the past few years, actually even before 2018, China joined the ICH. Actually, I heard a lot of concern from the Western biopharma executives. They just feel not comfortable to even license out their assets. Actually, you are three are the pioneers to take the asset from China. But the reason you took them is because of the data is so excellent. That's what I heard. So I would like to learn to get insight.
Should I start? Or,
okay, John, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I think, the new biotechs in China are mostly set for international standard to begin with. So, we wouldn't have done something, we believe were not meeting the global development trends. So, with our experiences, that's what, we had this aspiration, to go global, to bridge the communication between two territories. So, for example, IMAP, it was founded by returnees. All of the executives are from Europe, US, and other part of the world. And then we still, after 5 years, we have employees over 300. On average, we have more than 60 employees with overseas experiences. So then you can tell, we really have these visions and mindset on how to do the high quality compound and then development. So basically we set up, SOP, the processes according to, the big pharmas and, with where we had all experienced. And then we also keep track on the regulatory requirements, meeting the needs of both NMPA in China and FDA, knowing, we have to, any moment, cut up the data and then making sure the safety and efficacies are, on the same page. And then so we, additionally, we set up the team both in US and China. I think that's also very, very important. From day one, we were in IMAP, we wanted to have a secondary, not necessarily secondary, another hub in US. So we have set up our development team in Maryland, Gettysburg, Maryland. And now we have another site opening in San Diego. So to really leverage the different resources and the talents in the different part of the world, but we don't operate separately. We work together. So, we work around the clock, like 24 hours, like evening calls and early morning calls, and sometimes California, Maryland, and China. So we work on the different time zones, hoping have the same voice and the same conversation. Like today, like tonight, we have a town hall in US, meaning our executives in China have to stand by until before midnight. So it become a norm. So that's why we just feel like whole data or in qualities are on the same page. And then we, for example, when we did the deal with AbbVie colleagues, and then, we don't, separate the team. So we had the US team and China team dialed in, working with our AbbVie colleagues, make a seamless team. And then in the end, I think we sent the US team members to meet them in a hotel, during the COVID-19. Just that's only, face-to-face meetings, with the whole deal. And then, but because of those seamless communication. So we don't feel the difference. So the quality, every time we brought that up, was really solid and with the high quality. For example, we have some safety data sets in US and China when people from AbbVie colleagues found there's some time differences in the submissions. And then we immediately, with our safety team, telling the story because there's size difference in the submission time between US and FDA and China NMPA. So everything is really following the standard and the SOP, and then so make them have a full confidence of the data integrity. So that's why I just want to give the example to show, anytime, when a biotech like, BioMap working with big pharmas, we understand the needs of the quality, and then we always set a high bar for that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, John. And now, once again, I don't know how much I can add. I absolutely agree. I think I understand the concern back to many years ago. Now, I think US is really an innovative powerhouse for the pharmaceutical company, the business. China is coming in later, right? So start with the generic, and those regulatory guideline SOP are evolving, right? So like some of the company, if they come for a IND or data NDA application in US, some of those data generated many years ago, maybe not meet the criteria from a US standard, but that's, I will say, majority of the professional in China, they are not intentional, because at that time, even the CDE don't have a clear guidance. So understand those concerns, but look at the big picture now in China. CDE is evolving, it's very flexible. And I remember a few years ago, CDE have the monthly meeting with FDA, they are very open. So the regulatory environment is very encouraging, very supportive. And I mentioned that big picture. I absolutely agree with John, the talent. Many of us are trained for many years. Myself as well, I worked for quite a few multinational company before I joined the biotech, J&J, BMS, GSK. So now, so this is something in our mind, the quality. Now we are dealing, our business is really to treat the patients. We are very serious about this, the talent. And also now like our company, the executive team, the senior leader also have many years experience, know-how. Our compound, why we can have this, our license deal, because we start from the scratch. We understand what's the issue. So for the BTK inhibitor, we know. It's like for CD47, we know that the concern is for the bleeding, right? So for us, for the BTK business, it's really the off target. So we have a very capable discovery team, our MedChem team. They redesigned the structure. So to overcome those potential off target, so then we have a better selectivity. So we then reflecting in our clinical profile, we have a superior safety. So this is know-how, the talent is very important. So of course, quality is now another thing is the capital. Everyone mentioned that. So that enable us to do a good quality work, to deliver a good drug for our patients. I think those are all critical.
Thank you, Sean. I think we have been talking a lot of positive feedback and perspectives. I think there must be a lot of challenges during this transaction process. So I would like to invite Natasha, Michael, and Surinda to share, like when you evaluate these assets, what do you think, what's your advice for the China biopharma should be focused on and improve so they can make such the global collaboration easier or have less challenge? Srida, this time I will put you last, so you want to be the first to deal with the job. How about Michael, you first?
Yeah, sure. I echo all the sentiments about the positives. There's tremendous positives, and for a company like Coherus, China is just an enormous opportunity, both in terms of accessing assets and of course collaborations that can drive speed, quality, and efficiency. I think on the challenges side, they tend to be more prosaic. You got to be mindful, if you're a Chinese innovator, you've got to be mindful of the US market situation or the European market situation, the standard of care, how it might differ from the standard of care in China if you're attempting to develop an asset. So if you've got a global program and you're already developing a harmonized package for the Chinese regulators and the Western regulators, it shouldn't be an issue. But if you're developing a program first and foremost for China, it would behoove you to be mindful of what's going on in the United States in terms of the standard of care, to understand how that maps to your local situation. So those are, because there could be differences in the standard of care, study design, whether, there are circumstances where PFS might be an acceptable primary endpoint for the Chinese regulators, but not for the US. And so, that's something that you might have to fix post hoc if you didn't think about it early on. There are issues around, translations, differences in language that have to be overcome. Translations are very, very expensive and required. There are issues around, the Chinese regulations like HGRAC, which can create delays in terms of the transmission of patient data, electronic patient data to the United States, whether it's for regulatory purposes or even for diligence purposes. And so I think those are all, issues that have to be managed, some practical issues, the time zone issues, which of course are wickedly exacerbated by COVID because we can't get on a plane right now. And so we have to do everything remotely. There could be potentially challenges with inspections, audits that say the FDA needs to make in China. And of course, those can be potentially impacted by COVID. So you need to be mindful of the impact on the timeline. But generally speaking, I mean, these are all relatively minor issues that can be overcome and managed. But I think if you're a Chinese innovator and you want to build value in your portfolio for the purposes of out licensing, you should think about that situation in the market that could be a future target for a license.
Thank you, Michael, for such insight. Natasha, what's your insight?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to add too many things beyond what Michael said around, the challenges sometimes in differences of standard of care or what the regulatory strategy and endpoints are for the NMPA versus FDA. But in general, I think good collaborative partners can find a way through that. Sometimes it means going a little slower in one territory to go faster in another and vice versa. But trying as best as possible to really approach things from a global development standpoint is really helpful. And I think that's the kind of collaborative and strategic discussions that we had with Remegen early on that led us to be really comfortable entering this collaboration with them. I think IP protection comes up again and again, and of course, concerns around potential government actions that we don't fully understand. And some of those may be perception versus reality or fear versus fact and future, who knows? But that's something that does come up. On the IP front, we were able to get very comfortable signing a collaboration with an ADC innovator, and we're also an ADC innovator, two companies that could be seen as competitors as well as collaborators. And we found a way to navigate that through really, really open and transparent discussions around how we wanted to manage the IP that could come out of this partnership. So that's something that I think to just hit head on in early to make sure that the two companies engaging in a collaboration can really find solutions that work for both parties. I think the data privacy agreements for us right now are a challenge as we're implementing our partnership. It's not entirely clear to us or potentially to Remagen exactly how to thread the needle with the DPA, knowing that it's not fully, the policies aren't fully harmonized yet in China with, you know, with what we're used to doing in the West. And so we're learning together how best to approach some of these things. And, but that's those are tactical things that can be overcome.
Yeah, I think that actually when you get into the collaboration is a lot of the details. It's kind of like raise a baby together, right? So, Sridhar, I think you and IMAP have been like since last year. So I think you already make some of the progress of the collaboration. Maybe you and Jane can share actually what it looks like now, what challenges you are facing, and how did both of your team to resolve them?
John, please go ahead.
Okay, I'll make it very short. You know, we're out of time, but I think there's always challenges, and so as we are really enhancing our capabilities and push for more innovation compound development, one thing we were just uncertain is about the large environment, big pictures. So we are really truly hope the the needs of the patients will prevail. And then but there are some mitigations we have to prepare for the like a near-term risk. For example, some of the cross-border political issues and another misunderstandings. So that's why, like for example, IMAP is preparing for being listed in elsewhere besides NASDAQ, China and Hong Kong, just to mitigate the near-term risk. So of course, beyond that, we have many others. But again, this is the risk and the challenges we are facing, and then we have to prepare for it.
If I can add, I mean, I think between Michael and Natasha and Johan, most of them have been covered. I think EdgeRec, EdgeR is a big unknown right now. I mean, we know it's there. How is it going to play out? And if it's implemented with every word which has been done, which has been said, that would be, in my view, at least in my own personal view, very detrimental to the entire China biotech environment. So, I mean, hopefully, things change on that front. Is my own personal view. But I think, as you asked this question, how do we work through all these challenges? We have alliance people who are almost on a weekly, if not twice a week basis, in touch with our partners. And then that alliance manager's role is to then smoothen the discussions within internal and ensure there is a proper discussion between internally. We are all aligned as we discuss with the partner. So we work like one team. And I think putting patients first is the objective that we start off the discussions with, and that's how it has helped us, in my view, with the collaboration.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the insight. And so because of time restriction here, I would like to give everyone just the one sentence you would like to, the advice or the forecast you would like to share with the audience. How about we start with Xiang from who close to me this time?
Okay, so the one sentence for the China biotech, if you want to do our license, I think the key is differentiation.
Thank you, Xiang. Sridhar from Chicago, we go backwards.
I would say try to reach out to the multinationals as much as possible. Keep trying, and we are all looking for assets. So I'm sure we will love to collaborate. So keep trying to reach out.
Thank you, Sridhar. Michael in California.
Yeah, I want to echo that last statement. Be very proactive in reaching out, establishing relationships with the target companies who have their finger on the pulse of the local market and what they're looking for and what success looks like, whether it's a fast follower or whether it's high-end innovation. The marketplace in the United States will definitely embrace both. Competition is coming to the United States. I think it's going to be very problematic for companies that don't think competitively about both efficacy, safety, as well as value.
Thank you, Michael. Natasha?
Yeah, I would echo what everyone's already said, and keep innovating and keep really open dialogue around the development strategy and how to optimize trial design and endpoints such that you can reach the most patients in China and in the West.
Thank you, Natasha.
The world, for that matter.
John, please close our discussion here.
Okay. Well, I think it's never settled. Always drive innovations, moving up to the next levels, from the fast followers to best in class to first in class. So, drive the innovation, do, the first and second and third waves of innovation, always ahead of the game. I think that's, really set us on the right position to success.
Thanks, thanks everyone. And also congratulations to all of you make this successful transaction. And I think today we only finished the half of our prepared discussions. I think we will save another half for the next time. We were looking forward to how's your collaboration have been doing, and also how the asset and the treatment benefit the patients everywhere in the world. Thanks everyone for coming to join me today and share such a insightful and also meaningful experience. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for the opportunity, Echo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll look forward to seeing you all in person sometime.
Yes, we have to continue this conversation in person next time for sure.